It's Monday, July 6th. In the headlines, government to consult stakeholders on proposed U.S. migration program. In business news, Industry and Commerce Minister Senator Orvin Hill urges businesses to join the Jamaica Stock Exchange micro-market. Regionally, an update on the aftermath of disaster in Venezuela. And in sports, tributes pour in for athletics coach Stephen Francis. This is the news on PBC Jamaica. I'm Simone Absalom Gale. The government says it will consult local stakeholders before moving ahead with the proposed structured migration program with the United States. Minister without portfolio in the office of the Prime Minister, Ambassador Audrey Marks, said discussions will be held with trade unions, private sector groups, civil society organizations, and opposition representatives before the initiative is implemented. Speaking during a Jamaica Information Service ministerial update at Jamaica House recently, Ambassador Marks said the program is intended to respond to anticipated changes in U.S. immigration policy.
This was concretized later on in the America First policy document. And when you read that, it clearly shows that there will be mass deportations. In fact, not even a person whose parents born in another country and the child is born in the United States, even that would be questioned. So it's a massive relook, a significant and material relook at America's migrant policy and immigration policy, so to speak. So in my role as ambassador, the first thing that I must do whenever there's any policy changes going on in the United States, I must look at how that impacts Jamaica.
She says the wider proposal also explores expanding opportunities for Jamaican seasonal workers in the U.S.
Right now the cap is about 20,000 and we'll be proposing more like 200,000. And so my thinking was, how do we get ahead of this situation and propose to the U.S. that we can help? We can help because we have an established legal system of bringing workers into the country.
The minister insists the program would be designed to avoid displacing Jamaican workers, arguing instead that it would support economic expansion, skills development, and job creation. Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness is urging more private developers to build small housing projects and tap into the National Housing Trust for financing and support. Speaking at the handover of keys to 14 new apartment owners at the NHT's Vineyard Town housing development in Kingston recently, Dr. Holness said developers with projects of up to 50 rooms can approach the NHT for help with financing.
In other words, the NHT will support you and carry you through the development process and provide the financing to do the development. And I'm encouraging persons who have land in areas like Vineyard Town and communities like this, approach the NHT as a small developer. Let us see how we can expand the infilling of many of these communities.
He says expanding small-scale developments in communities such as Vineyard Town could help boost the supply of affordable housing.
The reason why we need scale reduces the unit cost of each housing solution that you put on the market. And that is how the price comes down.
The Prime Minister says the NHT has been tasked with delivering 42,000 units under a broader 5-year target of 70,000 housing solutions. The Vineyard Town development includes 14 studio apartments across 2 sites in southeast St. Andrew and forms part of efforts to expand affordable housing. 39 Jamaicans who have made outstanding contributions to their communities have been recognized with the 2026 Governor General's Achievement Awards. At last week's ceremony at King's House, Governor General Sir Patrick Allen commended the recipients for turning vision into action and using their talents to uplift others. Here's more in this report from Danita Rodney.
From educators and healthcare professionals to youth leaders and community activists, this year's Governor General's Achievement Awards recognize Jamaicans whose service has made a lasting impact. Addressing the ceremony, Governor General Sir Patrick Allen said each recipient identified a need in their community and chose to make a difference.
To all our awardees, you saw a need and responded to it. You saw a gap and bridged it. You saw a young person without direction and became their compass, not because it was easy, but because it was necessary.
The Governor General said the achievements being celebrated were made possible through the support of families, volunteers, and communities, noting that meaningful change is never accomplished alone.
When vision meets the collective will of a people determined to rise, barriers become bridges, obstacles become stepping stones, and the impossible becomes simply the next thing that is to be done. The stories of our recipients bear eloquent witness to this truth.
Speaking on behalf of the awardees, Dr. Marcia Johnson-Campbell said the recognition is not the end of their journey, but a renewed commitment to serving Jamaica with even greater purpose.
As we accept this award, we do so not as the culmination of our journey, but as a renewed call to serve with greater humility, greater purpose, and greater excellence. By God's grace, we remain committed to using our gifts to uplift others, inspire the next generation, and leave our communities better than we found them.
The Governor General's Achievement Awards recognize Jamaicans between the ages of 18 and over 35 who have demonstrated exceptional leadership, volunteerism, and service in their communities. This year's ceremony was held under the theme, The Power of Us, where vision meets excellence. Reporting for the news on PBCJ, I am Danita Rodney.
WhatsApp users may soon have a new way to connect without giving out their phone numbers. The messaging platform has started rolling out username reservations ahead of the full launch of usernames later this year. The feature is optional, but it could change how people protect their privacy while staying reachable on one of the world's most used messaging apps.
For years, if you've wanted to chat with someone on WhatsApp, you had to give them your phone number, but that is about to change. With username reservations now opening, users can claim a unique WhatsApp username before the feature becomes available for messaging later this year. WhatsApp says usernames will not be mandatory. Users who prefer to keep using the app as they do now can continue doing so. But for anyone who wants more control over when they share their number, the feature is designed to offer another layer of privacy. If the username you want is not available, WhatsApp says there may be several reasons. It could be that some names are already tied to existing Instagram or Facebook accounts. Well-known names, including those linked to public figures, celebrities, government entities, and Meta-verified accounts, are also being held, so they can only be claimed by legitimate owners. And in some cases, a common name may just simply already have been claimed by another user. WhatsApp is also warning users, though, about scams and impersonation. The company says usernames are not yet available for messaging, but when they are, people receiving messages from new contacts will see warnings, including details such as the sender's country of origin. Existing protections, including blocking and reporting users, will remain in place.
In the business report, Minister of Industry, Investment and Commerce, Senator Auburn Hill, says the Jamaica Stock Exchange's micro market poses several avenues of opportunities. Denise Williams tells us more.
Welcome to today's business report. I'm Denise Williams, bringing you the developments shaping markets, capital access, and business decision-making across Jamaica and the region. Let's get into the stories that matter. Minister of Industry, Investment and Commerce, Senator Auburn Hill, has welcomed the launch of the Jamaica Stock Exchange's new micro-market, describing it as a major step forward in expanding access to capital for Jamaica's smallest businesses. Speaking at the launch ceremony held at the Terra Nova Hotel in St. Andrews, Senator Hill said the new market is designed to bridge a long-standing financing gap for micro-enterprises seeking to grow and compete. He noted that many of Jamaica's manufacturers, agro-processors, and small exporters have been calling for greater access to financing, and said the JSE micromarket provides an important new avenue for raising equity capital. The minister encouraged entrepreneurs to familiarize themselves with the market's listing requirements, strengthen their corporate governance practices, and position their businesses to participate. Senator Hill also praised the Jamaica Stock Exchange for what he described as discipline and vision required to transform the concept into a listing-ready platform. He said the new market provides companies seeking to raise between 50 million to 100 million Jamaican dollars with a regulated pathway to equity financing. The structure includes the support of sponsors and mentors to guide businesses and investors while creating a pathway for successful companies to eventually graduate to the junior market. According to Senator Hill, the micro market represents an important addition to Jamaica's financial infrastructure and will help promising small businesses access capital needed to expand, create jobs, and contribute to long-term economic growth. More than half of Jamaican consumers are willing to pay more for imported products when the customer experience is superior, according to new research presented by Trinidad-based customer experience consultancy XCO at its Caribbean Customer Experience Summit in Kingston. Research found that 53% of Jamaican consumers would willingly spend more on imported products, even when comparable local alternatives are available, if they received a better overall customer experience. Across the wider Caribbean, 51% of consumers said they would rather shop online with overseas retailers because of the experience they receive. Presenting the findings, ex-co-partner Chelsea Costello told R Today that the data should serve as a wake-up call for Caribbean businesses. The findings formed part of EXCO's 6th Caribbean Customer Experience Summit held at the AC Hotel in Kingston, the first time the conference has been staged in Jamaica. Ex-co-founder Sasha Thompson said the company was bringing 5 years of regional customer experience research to Jamaican business leaders at a time when consumer expectations are changing rapidly. For the trading period of July 2, 2026, the most actively traded securities were Supreme Ventures Limited with 2,397,905 units, representing 15.02% of market sales activities. R.A. Williams Distributors Limited with 2,210,833 units, representing 13.85% of market sales activity. Massey Holdings Limited with 1,620,380 units, representing 10.15% of market sales activity. Investor activity remained concentrated in gaming and distribution plays, signaling continued interest in dividend-producing and strategic assets. Turning to the foreign exchange market based on Bank of Jamaica data for July 2, 2026. Forex traders recorded significant activity with strong demand across major currencies. For the US dollar, trading margins reflected steady liquidity, with the US selling at $159.37 and buying at $157.27. For the Canadian dollar, moderate gains supported by $1.33 transaction spreads. The Canadian dollar sold for $112.49 and was bought for $111.16. For the British pound, continued volatility offered short-term trading opportunities of 86 cents in profits for the banks. The British pound sold for $211.34 and was bought for $210.48. These movements underscore the importance of cash flow timing and currency awareness for businesses managing import costs, debt servicing, or overseas exposure. For our credit report tip of the day, let's look at the hidden cost of inflation and how the rising cost of living is quietly damaging credit scores. When people think about inflation, they usually think about grocery bills, utility costs, fuel prices, rent, or mortgage payments. What often goes unnoticed is another consequence: its effect on credit scores. Across many households, the rising cost of living is changing the purpose of borrowing. Instead of using credit to finance assets, education, or business growth, many people are increasingly relying on credit simply to maintain their current standard of living. Today, many households are borrowing to cover groceries, utilities, school expenses, transportation, medical bills, unexpected emergencies. So when credit becomes a substitute for income, financial pressure builds over time. Ironically, those experiencing the greatest financial pressure often end up paying the highest cost of borrowing. So let's talk about some strategies to protect your credit during high-cost periods. We want you to prioritize your payment history, because if cash is limited, prioritize making every required payment on time, even if you can't pay the balance in full. Then build a small emergency reserve. Even a modest emergency fund can reduce the need to rely on high-interest credit for unexpected expenses. Avoid borrowing for lifestyle inflation. There's a distinction between borrowing to create future value and borrowing to sustain current consumption. Before taking on new debt, ask a simple question: will this borrowing improve my future financial position or simply postpone today's financial pressure? And that's today's business report. I'm Denise Williams, bringing clarity to capital, markets, and strategy. Until next time, stay informed, stay intentional, and keep building forward. See you soon.
In regional news, thousands of people displaced by Venezuela's devastating earthquakes are living in temporary shelters in La Guara State as humanitarian aid continues to arrive. A sports stadium has been transformed into a logistics hub and emergency shelter. Al Jazeera's Zain Basravi says long-term housing solutions are urgently needed for those who lost their homes.
This sports stadium here in La Guara State is smack in the middle of a seaport on one side and an airport on another. So it's being used to house humanitarian relief goods that are being flown and brought into the country. And this has become a perfect place to serve as a logistics hub for the delivery of humanitarian aid. This track and field that you'll see in this direction, tents like this are being set up around it, and it is also housing a large shelter structure where thousands of people displaced by the earthquake are effectively now living. We'll see there's bunk beds, there's tents being set up for a little bit of privacy, but this is where people are being housed. They're being brought here by volunteers, by international NGOs, by local civil protection. People who were homeless on the streets after losing their homes are being relocated to this shelter here. And what we are hearing from aid organizations here is that this will be the model for what temporary shelter looks like for displaced and homeless people from this earthquake over the course of the next 90 days. Volunteers are putting on entertainment for the large number of children that are among the affectees from Venezuela's double earthquakes. And here they have a roof over their heads. They have access to food, water, medicine, wash facilities, toilets, beds. But this is far from a permanent solution. There is no privacy, and this is not something that is sustainable. That is clear to see from the conditions that people are living in. What organizers here, international aid groups, volunteers, Venezuelan affectees tell us is that what they need is a roadmap. They need solutions. They need their government to organize and come up with a plan of how to move forward from this disaster in the aftermath of these earthquakes. And that is something that at the moment they say is not forthcoming. And the plain reality here is that for those that are seeking relief from the aftermath of this earthquake, right now, this is as good as it gets. Zain Basravi, Al Jazeera, Carlos Sublet, La Guera State, Venezuela.
In Trinidad and Tobago, Minister of Rural Development and Local Government, Khadija Amin, says more than 1,000 relief buckets have been prepared for earthquake-affected communities in Venezuela, with regional corporations leading the effort to sort, package, and label donated supplies for shipment.
Minister of Rural Development and Local Government Khadija Amin says over 1,000 buckets of relief supplies have already been sorted by regional corporations across Trinidad and Tobago. The corporations have mobilized to collect, sort and package relief supplies for earthquake-affected communities in Venezuela. The items will be transported to the Plip Deco warehouse before being shipped to Venezuela.
They have labeled these items in English and Spanish. They have also packed buckets with items in them, dry foods, canned foods, powdered milk and so on. And this is easy for us to give to an individual. It's easy to ship, and we are doing this in collaboration with Sewa Titi. So we have over 1,000 buckets that are packaged, so it will be easy for distribution on the field given the situation with the earthquake. And all of these items will be transported to the Plip Deco warehouse, where they will be packaged on pallets to be shipped on Friday.
Minister Amin says the response to the national donation drive has been overwhelmingly positive, with businesses, community organizations and residents rallying to support the humanitarian effort.
And I think that level of enthusiasm is positive. You also have a lot of groups who do social work with Venezuelan citizens who are in Trinidad, and many of them have also reached out with concern because they have relatives there in Venezuela that they want to get items to. So, so far the response have been very, very positive.
The Barbados Workers Union, BWU, is continuing its journey towards celebrating 85 years of representing workers. But while marking the milestone, the union is also raising what it describes as a serious issue affecting Barbados' booming construction industry.
As the Barbados Workers Union marches towards its 85th anniversary on October 4th, it has been taking its services directly to Barbadians through monthly community activations. This month's event in Hero Square featured officers from the Industrial Relations and Legal Departments providing free workplace guidance and advice. General Secretary Tony Moore says the union has spent nearly 18 months warning that while construction activity is expanding across Barbados, many workers are not seeing the benefits. She says the latest case involving the Jada Group exposed what she describes as unacceptable conditions affecting migrant workers.
The company would try to make explanation for what was observed when we went to see, or when those agencies went to confirm what we were reporting about the unlicensed barracks and all of the conditions that attended therein, that the company would try to reduce it to cultural behavior of people. I think that that is a cowardly rejection and avoidance of corporate responsibility.
According to Ms. Moore, the union's officers documented allegations ranging from poor accommodation and withheld passports to questionable deductions from workers' wages, before presenting the information to government and the social partnership. She insists the issue extends well beyond one company.
The Ministry of Home Affairs has to give account for how licenses are being granted. The Ministry of Labor has to give account on why, although an inspection was done in the barracks at Black Bess in December, that we could still go in June and find, at the end of June, and find the situation even worse, not better, even worse than they had observed it. And of course, the ministries that continue to grant these companies public contracts.
The union's general secretary is encouraging Barbadians with construction skills to register with the Ministry of Labor's employment portal, saying the BWU will continue advocating to ensure local workers receive fair opportunities and fair wages.
In sports, we begin with sad news. The country is still coming to grips with the passing of legendary Jamaican track and field coach Stephen Francis. He passed away on Saturday night at the age of 64. We get more in this report.
Modern-day Jamaican track and field would not be where it is today without coach Stephen Francis. And sadly, Jamaica and the sport have now said goodbye to the legendary coach following his passing on Saturday night, one day after turning 64. Shelly-Ann Fraser-Price, Elaine Thompson-Hera, Shakira Jackson, Asafa Powell, Tina Antia Clayton, and Kashane Thompson are amongst the many medalists and record holders that he coached. Francis co-founded MVP Track and Field Club with his brother Paul, Bruce James, and David Noel in 1999. President of MVP Track and Field Club, Bruce James, paid tribute, stating, "Stephen Francis changed the trajectory of Jamaican athletics for the better. He proved that Jamaican athletes, guided by Jamaican coaches, supported by Jamaican management, and training in Jamaica, could become the very best in the world." End quote. Wayne Cunningham, TGT Sport.
In our FIFA World Cup update, Egypt, Argentina, Colombia, Morocco, France, Norway, and England all booked places in the quarterfinals after a dramatic stretch of knockout action at the 2026 FIFA World Cup from July 3 to 5. Egypt made history on July 3 by securing their first ever World Cup knockout victory, defeating Australia 4-2 on penalties after a 1-1 draw in Dallas. Reigning champions Argentina were pushed hard by tournament surprise package Cape Verde before emerging 3-2 winners after extra time, while Colombia edged Ghana 1-0 to complete the round of 32 lineup for the last 16. The round of 16 began on July 4 with Morocco producing one of the standout performances of the tournament in a commanding 3-0 win over Canada. France also progressed with a narrow 1-0 victory over Paraguay to set up a quarterfinal showdown with the Moroccans. On July 5, Norway stunned five-time champions Brazil 2-1. England beat Mexico to claim a 3-2 victory and book a quarterfinal clash against the Norwegians. The results have now set the stage for a compelling quarterfinal lineup. And that's the news on PBCJ. You can follow us on our social media platforms at PBCJamaica. Thanks so much for watching.